everyone. Welcome back to the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast. This is Penny Sansevieri.
And Amy Cornell.
And if Christmas is your holiday, we hope that you had a great one. I can't believe we're at the end of the year, December 26th, only a few more days until the new year. I don't even know. Again, we've said this so many times, the year has just flown by. This episode, we are unpacking some really exciting stuff for the new year. Really looking forward to this. We also did with your help, listeners, we also did a listener profile. And as it turns out, y'all are really eager to learn. You are in it to win it. You're in it to do the work. You're not looking for weird, cheesy shortcuts, which we are not about. And that really inspired where we want to go with the show in the new year. So we thought we would give you kind of a sneak peek of what we're doing. So we are introducing sort of a loose monthly roadmap approach. So it's not a strict January's about this and February's about this, but each month we're going to have an overarching theme with every episode that kind of stands on its own. So January will be about, and we will unpack that in the January episode. So really think of it more as a menu in terms of where we want the year, where we want each month to focus and where we want the year to go. Ideally, and Amy and I talked about this yesterday during our show brainstorm, is if you listen to the show from January through December, by the time you get to this, because we get to July and authors start to think about, oh my gosh, I got to start thinking about holiday sales and blah, blah, blah. I got to be prepared. The way that we want to develop the shows in the new year is that every single month is going to help you get to that next level and to that next goal. So when the holidays roll around, you're not going to think, oh my gosh, I'm too late to start pushing for holiday sales. I mean, that was kind of the idea, right, Amy?
Yes, exactly. And we want you to know that just because we're covering a topic about, say, branding, doesn't mean it's not going to help you if you're still in the drafting phase, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or, if you're revising something, we are still going to make sure that every episode is very educational and very much all the information any of you listening need to have. But we wanted to set it up in a way that for those of you that wanted perhaps a little more structure in terms of, because we talk about it a lot, right, Penny? We talk about doing the right things in the right order.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we really wanted to structure next year in a way that helps authors that can kind of, that resonate with that kind of guide you to do things in the general right order. So we're not skipping the line. We're not, necessarily focused on something that it should be happening 6 months down the road, right when your book releases. You know what I mean? So we really wanted to give you something that you could follow. But at the same time, for those of you, because this was a big part of the poll, a lot of you said that you like to look through the episodes and you look for topics that resonate with you for what you're dealing with in the moment. And we totally support that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're dealing with a challenge, or you're prepared to release, or you're 30 days out from release, or whatever it is, and you scan the episodes to see, what do Amy and Penny have to say about what I'm dealing with right now? And so we still want you to be able to do that. But then this is a great way. It's kind of like a little insurance policy. You can kind of say, okay, if I listen to all of January, these are all going to organically work together and build off of each other in a way that just amplifies what you can get out of each episode.
Right, exactly. Because we noticed that, certain weeks of the year naturally align with what authors are thinking about. So January is always about fresh starts, right? Spring is great for visibility tune-ups, and fall is always high season. And so that's what we are, we're leading into the seasons, and while still making every episode specific and actionable and totally standalone. So like Amy said, you can scroll back, you can jump in anywhere that you like, just in, if you feel like if you missed something. So our promise for 2026 is to keep it simple, practical, no fluff. I mean, that's kind of what we do already, right? But I feel like in our sixth season, we've really, one of the things what I found was really interesting is that the majority of our listeners do not go back to season one. they don't start with the first season, which actually is fine because I got to tell you, as much as we loved doing the show from day one, season one, we were really kind of getting our sea legs, right?
Right.
We were really kind of figuring out how the dynamic and doing this show together and that kind of thing. Even though we worked together for a ton of years, like it's still a different sort of dynamic. And that's really interesting. And I think that authors, our listeners, are thinking that they really only want to go back through the last year, which again is fine. But what we are going to do too is we are going to do updates to existing topics. And Amy and I talked about that. Like I know we say a lot. We want to keep pushing out fresh new content, which we always do. But at the same time, there are topics that deserve repeating because they need an update. So anything on Amazon, you'll hear that. That will still be part of our repertoire for this year too. Updating existing topics with new, fresh information because everything is changing all the time in terms of publishing and marketing.
Right. And that's one of the exciting yet also kind of daunting aspects.
For sure.
Being
Yeah.
on top of your marketing and your branding. And we see it all the time, right? When authors come to us, Penny, and they say, I've been doing this, that, and the third. And I'm sure you and I both sometimes are like, well, that may have worked 5 or 6 years ago. And sometimes we get authors that, haven't released for a while. I'm like, well, that may have worked 10 years ago, right? And
Yeah.
just because it worked at one point doesn't mean that's how it works anymore. And Penny and I are very much focused. Those that have been listening for a while probably realize this, but we are so hyper focused on the reader and consumer experience. And that's really the value, I think personally, that we bring to both the podcast, but then working with our clients as well, is that always making sure that they stay connected to the people that end up reading and consuming and purchasing their books, versus kind of blanket marketing concepts. We really like to tune into what keeps an author's brand going long term, right? Yeah. And that is those reader connections. That is staying in tune with what your market is looking for and what they're looking for in an author or in a thought leader,
Yeah.
and staying really grounded in those foundational pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that the other thing that we're going to do, and we already do this, but Amy and I, and we had this discussion yesterday during our podcast brainstorm, where we kind of talked about the year and what we want to and what we don't want to do. One of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to have nebulous show titles and nebulous descriptions. And we already very much veer away from that. Like we're not fans of throwing in some weird thing where you think you're getting one thing and you're actually getting another. Because Amy and I are huge fans of podcasts. We listen to a ton of them. And we do unsubscribe from shows that do that. And you and I have had this discussion, right? Where shows are like, oh, hyped up, we're going to talk about XYZ. And then you listen to the show and they maybe mention it for 3 seconds and they move on to something that you weren't really interested in. And that is something. So you will know exactly what the episode is from the title. We're very specific about that. So you can go and pick whatever you want to, whatever you want to focus on. If you feel stuck or whatever is going on for you, if you're struggling with something, the show title will definitely indicate what it is. And so, you can pick it. I'm sorry, am I rambling? I'm rambling. I am so rambling. But Amy, we talked about this yesterday too, right?
Yes. I mean, we want to make sure that, so not only are we going to give you a slightly more structured pathway to follow, if that's what you're into, but again, still making sure that individual episodes, you can jump into any episode and still get what you're looking for if that's what you're struggling with in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to really make sure you understand what you're getting into because we respect your time and we respect the fact that you have a lot of learning to do, right? And if you're going to do this correctly, you need to jump in and figure it out and then start applying what you're learning in the episodes.
Right, exactly. And we also got a lot of feedback in terms of the show length too. So that was another thing because in year one, we used to do mini-sodes. So we did a full episode and then a mini-sode, and then we kind of got away from that, I think, in year 2 or 3. And one of the things that we're finding from the listener feedback is that y'all really like the 30-minute shows. So we're going to stay with that structure. Some of them might lean a little bit longer just because, again, we love to yada yada, as you know. but we are going to try to keep it to that 30-minute structure. So again, the survey is still running, by the way, and we're going to keep it running because we want to get your feedback. So you'll be able to see that in the show notes. But I'm really excited about this, Amy. I'm really looking forward to 2026.
I am too, because I love that we have both the combination of listener feedback and a really clear path forward, because we get excited, as you've said, we get excited talking about this stuff, but we really want to make sure that we're always addressing topics that are current and valuable and make sense for what you can run with and how you can improve your brand and your platform and all those things. And so I just, it's like, especially for me, this, the idea of having like a more structured format is like, whoa, Amy's really embracing this structured format, which is not typically the direction I lean for anybody listening. But I actually got really jazzed about it because it really helps us see a big picture of where all the content is going. And it's fun to see how everything will be building on individual episodes will build into something bigger that y'all can use.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, and then we'll let y'all go and get back to your holiday celebrations or that weird in-between time between Christmas and New Year. Even if Christmas is not your holiday, that weird kind of time where there is no time and we all kind of sit around in our PJs and watch movies and eat cheese. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. But we'll definitely let you get back to that. But I have to say, yesterday when we were doing our show brainstorm and we were starting to outline the shows for the first quarter of 2026, man, I got so excited. Amy was like, highlight the shows that you want. I'm like, oh, I want to do all of them.
All of them.
Thank goodness there are 5 Fridays in January, because there were so many shows in January that I wanted to do. So we're really looking forward to the new year. We hope you are too. Again, the survey is in the show notes. Feel free to fill it out at any time. We're going to keep it up there. We're going to keep it going through January and probably even through Q1 of 2026. We want to wish you all a very amazing new year, full of all of the good things that you want. We love y'all. We are so grateful to have you as listeners. Be sure to sign up for our we're getting so many texts from listeners, which I love so much. Text the word podcast to 888-402-8940. And we will see you back here on January 2nd of 2026. So happy New Year, guys. We really look forward to 2026. Amy, happy New Year to you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.